Ofcom, the UK media regulator, has been urged to use all its powers against X, formerly Twitter, over concerns about unlawful AI images created on the site. The powers that Ofcom has could, in theory, include a complete ban on the Elon Musk-owned platform. The move follows a pretty disturbing trend on X, where users have been asking the platform's AI agent, called Grok, to generate undressed images, especially of women, without their consent. Now, I don't want to just show you a whole bunch of, there are literally thousands of these. If you click on sort of Grok and look at the images, it just seems to have been spending the last 2 weeks just purely undressing people against their consent. And I don't want to show you reels of that. This was one example I thought was probably most acceptable to show because it was someone who shared the AI image of herself. So Beth Eleanor is a novelist who shared this photo of her standing next to a promotional image for her new book. A user then asked Grok to undress her. And then, again, it's obviously not her real naked body, but we've blurred it anyway just out of respect because it was made without her consent. But she has shared this image with the statement, "When will the AI images of me end? It's non-stop all day under my book promotions. Elon Musk, is there any plans to monitor non-consensual AI undressing?" In the last couple of weeks, this has been happening, as I say, thousands and thousands of times. Elon Musk has done nothing to stop it. Daisy Dixon is a UK-based academic who was also digitally undressed.
That's when I started getting a lot of seeing in the replies, various users asking Grok to put me in a bikini, put me in various revealing sort of lingerie and things like that. And then I started noticing that they were beginning to alter and manipulate parts of my body, so decrease parts of me and increase other parts of my body in a highly sexualized way.
How did that make you feel?
When I first saw them, I was really shocked and I felt frightened. Even though I was in the safety of my own home, I felt unsafe. But more so, it was a kind of alienating experience because when you're looking at these images, because they have this quality of being transparent, they're like photographs. They have such a strong sense of realism about them. So you're looking at yourself, but it's not you. And someone has taken your body against your will and controlled it and manipulated it. And it creates this really jarring conceptual and mental state. It's me, but it's not me. And it's just, it's horrible.
You reported it to X. What happened?
I've reported a few of them. I stopped looking for them, to be honest. They were appearing more and more in my replies. So I started reporting some, and within minutes, X would reply and say there'd been no violation of X rules.
No violation of X rules. And, this was being pointed out to Elon Musk, and basically all he was doing is he was, quote tweeting an image where someone had asked it to make a picture of him in a bikini, sort of like, I can take a joke. Why can't all of these women being undressed take a joke? The one thing he did say should stop is Grok undressing children, or digitally undressing children. This is a tweet from Samantha Smith. So she says, 40 hours later and paedophiles are still using Grok to undress literal children. So sort of there's a picture of a child and then people asking to put her in a bikini. According to CNN, the digital undressing of people, including children, came after a push by Elon Musk to remove Grok's guardrails. So this is from that CNN report. According to one source with knowledge of the situation at XAI, Musk has been unhappy about over-censoring on Grok for a long time. A second source with knowledge of the situation at X said staffers consistently raised concerns internally and to Musk about overall inappropriate content created by Grok. At one meeting in recent weeks, before the latest controversy erupted, Musk held a meeting with XAI staffers from various teams where he was really unhappy over restrictions on Grok's Imagine image and video generator. The first source with knowledge of the situation at XAI said. So he specifically said, there are too many guardrails. Well, why are we censoring people on this? Da, 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 da. And then lo and behold, you have all of these women on Twitter who creepy men are asking for them to be sort of made to look as if they're wearing a bikini. Keir Starmer has spoken out strongly against Musk's platform. telling Greatest Hits Radio this.
It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. And it's not to be tolerated. X has got to get a grip of this. And Ofcom have at full support to take action in relation to this. This is wrong. It's unlawful. We're not going to tolerate it. I've asked for all options to be on the table. It's disgusting. And X need to get their act together and get this material down. And we will take action on this because it's simply not tolerable.
I'm not sure if it's because he found Keir Starmer's indignation there threatening or for another reason, but earlier today, and in response to this sort of really broad outcry, X changed their policy with regard to making AI-generated images. And yes, this is the bold move from Elon Musk. The right to digitally undress women on the app will now only be available for those with an X subscription, i.e. people who are paying Elon Musk about $10 a month. Ash, I mean, I'm sure you have a more difficult time on X than I do. We've seen thousands and thousands of women be digitally undressed. I think really humiliating, really disgusting, really intimidating. Elon Musk's response is to not ban it, but just make people pay to do it. So now if you want to undress if you want to undress a woman against her will, you just have to pay him a tenner.
I mean, so the first thing is that I think that part of Elon Musk's project of taking over Twitter and turning it into X was that he wanted to take a platform that had been associated with liberals and the left and becoming a space in which left-wing ideas could do well and be promoted quite far, is that he wanted to render the app unusable for those groups of people. So when you see the weakening of content moderation, basically the eradication of content moderation on X, the kind of racist abuse, and I'm talking about things like the N-word and, out and out slurs. Not only did it absolutely proliferate, but even when you report those tweets, they don't get taken down. And that has a psychological effect when you read that kind of abuse. I use the app a lot less than I would have because it's a choice between that or going insane. And I think that when you consider the entirely predictable outcome of what happens when you allow an AI to generate, semi-nude, highly sexualized images of real people, of course, that's going to be used for the purposes of non-consensual sexualization, violation, and humiliation. I think because, I think Elon Musk hates, anyone who he would consider a woke warrior. So, people of color who are anti-racist, women who are feminists. This is part of making the app unusable for those groups of people. So I don't think it's a byproduct. I don't think it's an accident. I think it's a design feature, not a flaw as such. It's funny, I have been wanting to say something about this for a while, and the reason why I haven't is because I was scared that people would start doing this to images of me. I've had images of me, in a bikini shared in a disparaging way on X. I had images taken of me on holiday, just like kind of like fun, normal photos, uploaded to porn websites and had to get them taken down. I've seen like really horrific and racist rape fantasies distributed on Reddit. And so unfortunately, this has been something that I've had to try and make sense of. And I think that there's a variety of reasons of why people do this. One is that I do think that the absolute explosion of online pornography and the fact that the user experience, so the sort of like design of like porn websites and porn apps and how much they resemble sort of, PG social media apps. So the way in which Pornhub resembles YouTube and OnlyFans resembles Instagram. I think one of the downstream effects of this is that it's sort of placed all women who have their image on the internet in some way in this kind of proximity to or conversation with porn. So people treat you like porn, even though that's not your job. Something that happens on Instagram a lot is that people DM me asking if I'll send them, nude photos of myself or pictures of my feet, and that they're willing to pay for it. And I'm just like, that's not my job. Like, that's not my job. And I do think that there is a sort of moral curdling that's happened because of the proliferation of online porn, and the sort of expectations that the sets of women. I think that's one really important part of the conversation. The other part is that humiliation is eroticized. I think if you are a person who derives part of their sense of self, has a sense of purpose or mission through taking down, in particular, people who you consider to be political opponents who are of the gender to whom you are attracted, there is a sort of eroticization of that humiliation. And then there is just something which is age old, which is knowing, regardless of whether or not you derive an erotic thrill from something, whether or not you find it sexually exciting, that you can use sexuality to demean and humiliate and violate women. Right, that women will experience an intense sense of violation if you use sex and sexuality as the means by which to attack them. So it's really depressing. What's the answer to it? What's the solution to it? I mean, unfortunately, that there does have to be greater state regulation, and I think some kind of consequence for platforms which allow this kind of, let's face it, it's a form of digital sexual assault to take place. I don't like it from a free speech perspective, but I think that when you have an AI where the guardrails have been removed so that you can use it specifically to produce non-consensual sexual images of real people, that has to be treated as a form of facilitation of a sex crime, because it is a sex crime.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Lots of people in the comments, saying solidarity with you as well. I mean, I'm sorry you have to go through so much of that. I mean, I see it on your X. It's disgusting. Back to this element of what Keir Starmer will do, and whether he has the power to properly regulate this or even ban it. I wanted to bring up a tweet from a American congressperson. So she's Anna Paulina Luna, responded to stories about a potential X ban in the UK with a threat. So she said this: if Starmer is successful in banning X in Britain, I will move forward with legislation that is currently being drafted to sanction not only Starmer, but Britain as a whole. This would mirror actions previously taken by the United States in response to foreign governments restricting the platform, including the dispute with Brazil in 2024 to 2025, which resulted in tariffs, visa revocations, and sanctions and consequences tied to free speech concerns against Brazilian officials over concerns related to censorship and free speech violations. Starmer should consider this course of action, or there will be consequences. And Ash, I mean, I think there is a big story here, which is, I mean, what we've been talking about already is a big story, but a geopolitical story almost, because I do think that Musk owning Twitter has been a big political factor in the destabilization of Europe, frankly, because it has really, really given rocket boosters to the far right. Elon Musk has used it and tweaked the algorithm to attack any kind of centre-left or centrist politician he doesn't like. I think it has been. I think that the Labour government probably wouldn't be quite as unpopular as it was if it weren't for X. So it matters to European politicians. But it is I mean, this is just one congressperson, of course, but you can imagine a European leader trying to regulate X somehow. And if Donald Trump or one of his allies are in the White House, them literally sanctioning that European country, it doesn't seem beyond the realms of possibility. And that is, I mean, that's geopolitically kind of new, right? And somewhat scary.
So this is something that Trump and people close to him have been saying for a while, that attempts to regulate and tax American tech giants in Europe will be, considered, as an attack or an attempt to undermine American interests. So it would be met with some kind of retaliation or punitive measure. That's something that Trump was saying before he came back into office. But there is just something to me which is, I'm not saying it's like funny, ha ha, but like there is this kind of darkly humorous thing about, a congresswoman saying that there will be, sanctions and tariffs and visa revocations if European powers and the UK take steps to limit or ban or regulate a tech platform, which is currently in the news cycle because people have been using it to create images of child porn. It's a real Jeffrey Epstein, they could kill the man, but not the idea, He died in that prison, but his ideology is in power.